Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is urgently flying to Washington to meet the United States President after Donald Trump stated that the best way to end the war is a peace agreement, not a ceasefire. He posted on Truth Social after meeting Vladimir Putin in Alaska, then speaking with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders. Zelensky, on the other hand, stated that he will urgently arrive in Washington on Monday for a conversation with Donald Trump. Trump himself insists that now everything depends on Ukraine and Zelensky. He says that either Ukraine agrees to the conditions that were discussed in Alaska, or Trump may withdraw from the deal. He claims that Ukraine is preventing him from signing further economic agreements with the dictator Putin. Trump is imposing sanctions on Russia and secondary tariffs on its partners, which will be inconvenient. He insists it's better to sign a peace deal than just announce a ceasefire. Let's analyze together what Trump said to Zelensky and the European leaders after his meeting with Putin, what to expect next, and why Zelensky is flying to Washington. My name is Alexei Pechi. Today is August 16th. Let's go through everything step by step. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, give it a like, leave any comment, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pechi News. The link to it is in the description of this video. There we post breaking news as soon as it comes in. So just a few hours after meeting with the Russian dictator Putin in Alaska, Trump noted that the meeting with Putin went very well. Just like the late-night phone conversation with Zelensky and European leaders, including the highly respected NATO Secretary General. Now, I'll quote Trump. Everyone decided that the best way to end the terrible war between Russia and Ukraine is to move toward a peace agreement that will end the war, not just a simple ceasefire agreement, which often doesn't hold. He also said that the Ukrainian president will come to the Oval Office on Monday afternoon. Quote, "If all goes well, we'll set up a meeting with President Putin. It is possible that the lives of millions of people will be saved." Zelensky himself said that he had a long and meaningful conversation with United States President Donald Trump after his meeting with Putin in Alaska. He noted that at first he spoke with Trump one-on-one for more than an hour, and then European leaders joined the conversation. They talked for over an hour and a half. Next is a quote from Zelensky. "Ukraine once again confirms that it is ready to work as productively as possible for the sake of peace. President Trump informed me." Zelensky also noted that Ukraine supports Trump's proposal for a trilateral meeting in the Ukraine-America-Russia format. After all, key issues can only be discussed at the leaders' level. Zelensky also said that he would visit Washington at Trump's invitation. Quote, "I intend to discuss all the details regarding the end of the killings and the end of the war with President Trump in Washington on Monday. Thank you for inviting me." He also emphasized the importance of involving Europeans at these stages to reliably ensure security guarantees together with America. Quote, "We discussed positive signals from the American side regarding participation in ensuring Ukraine's security. We continue to coordinate our positions with all partners." By the way, there are indeed some very important points regarding security guarantees, which we will discuss with you next. So don't forget to subscribe. And here is where the first inconsistency appears. The Economist correspondent Oliver Carroll, citing his own sources, stated that United States President Donald Trump and Russian dictator Vladimir Putin reached a preliminary agreement on a so-called air ceasefire during the summit in Alaska, ahead of the trilateral leaders meeting. As the source said, "We believe the sky will signal the preliminary results of these negotiations." Next week should be interesting. Well, the office of the president of Ukraine insists that for some reason Trump did not mention any kind of aerial ceasefire. Well, and Putin's aide Ushakov states that actually a trilateral meeting in Alaska was not even discussed. At the same time, according to Trump, significant progress was made during the negotiations. Putin wants to reach an agreement on Ukraine. Quote, "We agreed on many points. Now it's up to Zelensky to finalize the deal, and to the European countries as well. They also need to take part in this." When asked if he was confident that peace could be achieved in a relatively short time, Trump replied, "A fairly short time, yes." Trump stated that the parties are beginning preparations for a meeting involving himself, Putin, and the Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky. Quote, "Both Zelensky and Putin want me to be present at their meeting. I will be there." According to him, there is a fairly high probability of reaching an agreement to resolve the war in Ukraine. The end of the war will mark an important achievement for both Putin and Zelensky and moving forward. He added, "We have almost reached an agreement. Now listen, Ukraine has to agree. Maybe they will say no." But Trump went on to advise Zelensky to make a deal anyway. Quote, "Make the deal. Russia is a very big country and Ukraine is not," said the United States president. He claims that during the negotiations, the issue of security guarantees for Ukraine was largely agreed upon. And European countries also need to participate a bit in the Ukrainian settlement. These are the points we discussed and the points on which we have mostly reached an agreement. In fact, I think we have reached an agreement on many issues, said Trump. But when answering a question about secondary sanctions against Russia and China for buying Russian oil, Trump said, "Because of what happened today in Alaska, I think we don't even need to think about it for now." The meeting with Putin went well. At the same time, the American president noted that he might have to consider additional tariffs on China, those very secondary duties. Attention, in 2-3 weeks, Trump returned to his rhetoric again. More new deadlines, another 2-3 weeks, and so on. As reported, United States President Donald Trump had a long phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky aboard Air Force One. At the same time, Clash Report confirms that Trump spoke with Zelensky and European leaders for more than an hour and a half, informing them about his meeting with Putin. Also in the Zelensky-Trump phone call, also participating were the head of the European Union, Commission Premier von der Leyen, French President Emmanuel Macron, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Finnish President Alexander Stubb, Polish President Karol Nawrocki, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Trump's Special Representative Steve Witkoff. So, despite all the optimism from Trump, Western media are reporting that their meeting with Putin still went badly. They say the long-awaited meeting ended without any expected breakthrough. Despite the ceremonial start, with smiles, handshakes, and a red carpet, the sides did not agree on a ceasefire in Ukraine or on the location of the next summit. And now Trump insists that everything depends on Zelensky. Meanwhile, the Europeans have already issued a joint statement clearly stating that they are ready to work with President Trump and President Zelensky on holding a trilateral summit with Europe's support. It has been stated that Ukraine must have clear security guarantees to effectively protect its sovereignty and territorial integrity. It was also stated that Europe will not lift any sanctions on Russia and will not stop military aid to Ukraine until real peace is achieved. By the way, security guarantees are already taking shape and they look quite interesting, but I'll talk about that in the next episode. I'll leave it at that for now. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments under this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's it for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.